We are in Achievers MCQ series for BFM and we are in international banking. From today for the next 3 days we will be studying the LC transactions. How does the LC flow? Means how is the LC prepared? Then what are the documentation required in it? How does the money flow in that? So we will be dividing this into 3 parts. And all the 3 parts are important from your BFM point of view as well as your international regular banking point of view. So watch this video till the end and also watch the full series I would suggest. Okay, let's move on. Well, firstly download Adda 24/7 app on your mobile. In this app you will be getting all the premium study materials, current affairs, job alert, daily quizzes, plus live video lectures. You will be getting live classes, notes, plus you will be getting tests. What all do you require next now for CAIIB? Only this much. JAIIB, CAIIB, only this much. Classes, notes, tests. That's it. Okay, and you also get 24 hours. Means whenever you have a problem, you can definitely ask the question. Okay, so download it fast. Also, subscribe to Officers Adda 24/7 YouTube channel. In this channel, you will be getting all the updates for JAIIB, CAIIB, and various banking exams. Also, you will be getting free YouTube series for various topics like this one, which is going on, right? Okay, these are the 2 new batches for English and bilingual. These are for all 4 subjects and we are covering all the numericals, objective questions, theory, everything related to CAIIB. More on this later about the fees and the other parts. Okay, yeah. So the schedule for today is basically we'll be dividing this lecture into 3 parts. One is types of business transactions. Second is LC issuance flows. Here there are 3 flows in LC. Always remember: issuance, documentation, and money. So today we'll be covering the first part, LC issuance flow, and third one is the objective questions. Okay, let's start with the first part, types of business transactions. Here, business transactions in this world, throughout the world, you call it anything. Let it be local India or let it be throughout the world, only 4 types of business transactions are done. Only 4. One is advance payment. Means what? See here, I believe in keeping the things simple. Okay, so advance payment. Advance payment means what? See here, A is the buyer. Buyer, I'll write it over here. And what B? This is buyer, I'll write it buyer. Okay, and this guy is the seller. Okay, so what happens now? This seller wants to sell to the buyer, but the seller will ask that, see, I will send the goods only if I get the payment first, full payment. Firstly, advance payment is to be given to this seller. Only then the seller will send the goods. Now, can this happen? Yes, this can happen in seller's market. Where will this happen? This will happen in oil purchases. Oil, okay? Oil purchases, or even for big companies like Reliance. Reliance will only send the goods when it receives the payment first. Okay, so big companies, oil, commodity, these advance payment transactions do happen. But there is a problem to the buyer over here. Why? Because he has already given the payment, and if the seller does not send the goods of the correct quality, or if the seller does not send the goods at all, in that case what will happen? This buyer will be in problem. Okay, so this is a problematic area. In fact, everything except this LC is a problematic area. Second part, open account. Open account means what? Here, let me rub this thing. Whatever is not required. Hold on. Open account means what? This buyer and seller, they decide to deal with each other, and here, seller will send the goods to the buyer. Goods, okay. What all things are sent by the seller? Number 1, goods. Goods are sent generally by C. Okay, C. Second part, what does the seller send to the buyer other than goods? It is documentation. After all, here, if the goods come by the sea, okay, the buyer will have to take the goods from that seaport, right? And for that, he will require the documents. He or she will require the documents. So documents are sent by the seller to the buyer. Okay, and once the documents and the goods are received by the buyer, in that case, the buyer will give the money later. So money will flow from buyer to seller, isn't it? These things always happen like this way only. Now what is the problem in this? But the problem in this is seller sends the goods to the buyer on an open account basis. Now open account means what? There is no bank involvement in the full transaction except for money. See here, only bank is involved in transfer of money. In the flow of the documents, bank is not involved. So what happens? This buyer and seller, let's say this seller will send the goods and the documents to the buyer, but tomorrow if the buyer doesn't pay at all, this third leg doesn't happen at all, then what will happen? Seller is in trouble, and there is no one to help this seller because it's an open account. Open account means what? Everything over here, step number 1, step number 2 is handled between the buyer and the seller only. There is no one in between, and step number 3 is handled by the banks. So that is trustworthy, but remaining 2 are a problem, right? So that's why anything where the institution or banks are not involved, or any NBFC even, you can say any institution is not involved, there it's always a risk. Now third is collections, DADP. Now what is collections? Say this. What did we do over here in open account? We send the goods via C, and second we send the documents directly to the buyer. Okay. Now only collections, what is the difference? Here the documents are sent through bank, okay, and then the payment also receives through bank. Okay. Now whatever in earliest in open account, step number 1 and 2 were done freely without any bank, and 3 was done with the bank, right? But here only step number 1, goods are sent by the seller directly, and step number 2 and 3 are controlled by the banks, so there is lesser risk involved in it. Then you will say, if this is a better way, then why should I go for LC? But there is a problem over here. The problem is bank acts as a courier agent over here. Courier, okay? Bank only acts as a courier agent. Means what? This seller will send the documents through the banks. Here there will be bank involved over here. Bank of the seller, okay? It will send the documents through to its bank. This bank will send the documents to the bank of the buyer. Again here it will be a buyer's bank, okay? Bank of the buyer. So, and then the bank of the buyer will give the documents to the buyer, okay? When the buyer gives the money to the bank, see here, buyer will send the money to this bank, and this bank will send it to this bank, and then to seller. Then you'll say, what is the problem then? Everything is going good, but there is a problem. The problem is seller will send the goods, seller will send the documents also to his bank will send the documents to this bank. Now here the problem comes. The problem is, if this buyer does not pay to this bank, then what? If this buyer does not pay, then this bank will keep the documents in their hold. It won't give the documents to the buyer. But after all, who's at loss? Seller is at loss. Why? Because the money of seller is stuck. So that's why in such cases, if the buyer does not pay, this bank sends the documents back to this bank and to the seller's bank, and seller's bank gives the documents back to the seller. So after all, in the end, seller is at loss. So that's why this LC has come. LC means what? LC is a very simple term. See this, under LC what happens? This is the buyer, okay, and this is the seller. Now both engage with the bank. This is called as issuing bank, LC issuing bank, okay, bank. And this seller engages with the bank, that's called as advising bank. Okay. Now what does this issuing bank tell? Say, the issuing bank says here to this seller, I am sending you this document of LC. Now this LC I am sending you here, I'll draw it over here. This LC I am sending it to you, LC. And if you provide me the documents, 6 to 7 documents which are required by me as per the LC, okay, only documents, I don't care about material. If you send me the documents required as per the LC, I will pay you. Issuing bank will pay you. Now here the payment of the buyer is not of any concern. The buyer is out of the scene now. Issuing bank is giving the guarantee that if you send me the documents, I will pay you. So bank is always trustworthy, isn't it? Rather than the individual buyer, correct? So that's why this LC process is the best flow as of now. Okay. Now coming back, this issuing bank will send the LC to the seller. But how will it send? So that we'll study in the next part. Say this. Let's consider this case only. Same case I have given it in a bigger picture. See this, USA, there is an importer or buyer over here. Okay. Then India, there is an exporter or seller over here. There is an importer's bank involved over here. That is called as issuing bank. Just now I told you this issuing bank. Then there is the exporter's bank involved over here. That is called as advising bank. Now what is the role of this bank? Because if this issuing bank wants to send the LC to this exporter, it can directly send it over here. But it doesn't do it. Why? Because it does not, this issuing bank does not trust this seller. It does not trust the seller. Imagine, this is Citibank USA. Okay, this guy is in USA and this is Citibank USA. Now what happens? This guy is sitting somewhere in Dehradun, okay, in India. So how will this issuing bank trust somebody who it never knows and it will send the documents? Tomorrow if this seller gives some fake documents, because what has this issuing bank told? That if you give me the documents, I will pay you. Tomorrow if this seller gives some fake documents, then what will happen? This bank will be in trouble, right? Because they have promised on the basis of documents only. He will send the fake documents, bank will pay them, and later this buyer will go to the bank saying that, see, I have not received the goods at all. Okay, so that's why this payment is fake. So this bank will be in trouble. Okay. Okay, so what is the role of this advising bank over here? This issuing bank, whenever it sends the LC to this exporter or seller, it will send it through the exporter's bank. That's called as advising bank. Okay. Now I'll just give the details of what all is required. See here, whenever an issuing bank issues the LC, okay, how will it issue, on what basis? Tomorrow if I go to any bank, okay, you go to any bank, or if I come to you as a banker and I'll give you in letter in writing that one line, that kindly issue the LC for so and so amount to so and so party. Will you issue it immediately? Type yes or no. If I give you in writing that kindly issue the LC for USD 1 lakh, okay, in favor of somebody, will you issue it immediately? No. You need to see the KYC, whether the transaction has already happened, whether what is the AML issue, right? And how is that checked? That is checked through this purchase order and pro forma invoice. Whenever any relationship exists between the buyer and the seller, the first thing which comes in picture is purchase order. Buyer will always give the purchase order to the seller, and seller will always give the pro forma invoice to the buyer. Say this, pro forma invoice is given by the seller to the buyer and purchase order is given by the buyer to the seller. Okay, this is the intention to purchase, and this is the rough rate of the goods whatever the seller is going to sell. So based on these two documents and other KYC documents, okay, so this issuing bank will issue the LC. That LC will reach the advising bank over here. See this advising bank. So this advising bank's role is what? It has two roles. Number one, check the authenticity, okay, of the LC. Authenticity means what? Whether the sending bank's name and the SWIFT code of that bank is matching. See here, LC is always sent by the issuing bank to this advising bank through SWIFT. See here, issued LC sent through SWIFT to advising bank. It's known bank. Okay. If Citibank will send some LC to India, it will have some tie-up with some bank. Okay. Or if HSBC sends, it will have a tie-up with some bank. That can be SBI, PNB, any big bank. Okay. So this advising bank's role comes in two parts. Number one, check the authenticity of the LC, and number two, forward all the pages of the LC to the beneficiary. This is very important. What happens is, it's a SWIFT basically, it's a technology, isn't it? If tomorrow this issuing bank sends 6 pages of LC and this bank prints only 5 pages of LC, then what will happen? This one page won't go to the seller, and in the end who will be the loser? This seller will be the loser. Why? Because this page has not come. In that page, if there is some important condition of this issuing bank, then this seller will be at loss. Okay, so that's why the main job of this advising bank is check the authenticity, and second, forward all the pages. Okay, so advising bank forwards the LC to the beneficiary and collects the advising charges. Who is the beneficiary? It's always the seller. Seller has three names: seller, exporter, and beneficiary. Buyer has two names, three names, importer, applicant and buyer. Okay. So now the LC will reach to this seller, this LC will reach to this advising bank via Swift technology. Okay, Swift means communication, and then this bank will take the printout of this LC and give it to the seller. Okay, now the LC has reached to this seller. Once the LC reaches to the seller, this seller will then start preparing the goods, or he will send the goods. Okay, that is the second flow that we'll be covering tomorrow. First flow is only about LC issuance. Okay, so now you got the points. Now answer my question. Question number 1: if this issuing bank wants to issue the LC, what will it check? Which are the two main documents will it check? Okay, which one? If this issuing bank wants to issue the LC, which are the two documents which it will check? Correct? Purchase order and pro forma invoice. Correct? Type it in the comment section. Okay. Yeah. Which is the safest mode of doing business? Open account, LC or collections? Which is the safest mode of doing business? LC, open account or collections? Correct? LC. What is the job of the advising bank? What is the job of the advising bank? Correct? Two words only. Authenticity, and second is all pages. Correct? Got it? Clear concept? One more. Pro forma invoice is given by dash to dash. Who gives the pro forma invoice? Okay, just one question. One fill in the blank. Pro forma invoice is given by dash. Who gives the pro forma invoice? Yes, who gives it? Seller gives it. Correct. And purchase order is given by dash. Buyer. Okay. Everyone type it in the comment section. You must know it. These are the basics of any trade finance in any bank in this world. Okay. So before moving ahead, we have a felicitation ceremony arranged on 8th of January, 12 p.m. and this is for all those who have cleared JAIIB, CAIIB in November and December 22. So if you are one of them, definitely go for this felicitation program. It is on the second floor, Tower A, Unitech Cyber Park, Sector 39, Gurugram. Important. Adda 24/7 will reimburse your 3-tier tickets on both the sides. Very important, isn't it? So do attend this. After all, you have done a hard work for clearing this JAIIB and CAIIB, isn't it? Okay, now the question time. Let me ask the questions and let me see how many of you can answer. Okay. Okay. A dash is a document from the bank guaranteeing that seller will receive the payment in full as long as the documents required have been met. So, which is the document which says that if you give me the full set of documents which I require, I will give you the payment, irrespective of whether the goods have reached or not. So it's an agreement, it's an LC, bill paper, none of the above. What is the answer? Agreement, LC, bill paper, none of the above. Everyone? Correct? The answer is correct. LC. Correct? In LC, how does it take place? Issuing bank guarantees the seller that if you send me the documents as per my LC, I will pay you, irrespective of whatever you do remaining things, means whether you send the goods or not. Okay. LC is used only for international trading payment operations. So, is it that? Means LC is used only internationally, or it can be used locally also, within India also. Have you seen anything? Okay. In your bank, do you have those LC papers? Many of the banks might still be having it, isn't it? LC papers, numbered stationery we call it, numbered. There are two types of papers in the bank. One is LC paper, second is guarantee paper, right? Nowadays, many of the things have gone now, okay? Because of the structured messaging systems available within India also now, isn't it? So now, the question remains the same. LC is used only for international trade or local trade also. Yes, LC is used only for international trading. So is the answer yes or no? Only for international. So the correct answer is no. It is used for local trades also. Locally also LCs are issued to a huge extent. Most LCs often used in the international trade, okay, are used in the international trade. Letter of credits are governed by the rules given in the, so LC is governed by what? Which rules? UN Charter for Business, Uniform Customs and Practices for Documentary Credits, both of the above and none of the above. I know many of you will get confused over here because both of the above, you know, B is the answer, you know, many of us know that Uniform Customs and Practices is there, okay, but you will also get confused in UN Charter for Business. So is it C or B? That is the question. Is it C or B? Because if it's there in UN Charter for Business, then correct. So the answer is, everyone type fast in the comment section. The answer is B only. Now UCP 600 is going on. Okay. Then what about this UN Charter for Business? There is nothing called as UN Charter for Business. Does not exist. This is a fake word given to you. Does not exist. Okay. There is no UN Charter for Business. How can a United Nations give a charter for any business? Business is always done on the local basis, and ICC, International Chamber of Commerce, gives the rules. These are called as UCPDC. Okay, means Uniform Customs and Practices for Documentary Credit. UN doesn't handle anything called as Charter for Business. Okay, so the answer is strictly B. Okay. Chalo. So now these are the two batches which I had told you, English and bilingual. In both the batches you will be getting all the numericals, case studies, objective questions, theory, whatever is required for all these 4 subjects: ABM, BFM, ABFM and BRBL. Now about the fees, you are getting huge discounts presently. Go for it. See here, I'll show you what are the discounts. Go to Adda 24/7 live. See this. On Adda 24/7 you get this. See this. Over here when you come, click on JAIIB and CAIIB. Now you will see the batches: JAIIB, CAIIB Mahapack, CAIIB 23. So now you are in CAIIB, so click only CAIIB 23. Once you click on CAIIB 23, you will see the batches. See this English batch, English bilingual. As per your comfort, if you are comfortable in Hindi, you can join bilingual. If you are comfortable in English, you can go for English batch. Okay, so click on this English batch. Okay, now in this English batch, you will see the details over here. All the 4 subjects, study plan is given, what all are the specialties of this year. Importantly, always remember, recorded videos are available. Okay, recorded videos are available, mocks and ebooks are available, 2-way interactive classes means you can ask the questions anytime. For even you have a support system available over here. Okay, so now about the fees. So this fees is 23,999. So don't pay such huge fees. Okay, click on view offers. Remember the code which I have shown you on the slides also. Y432. Use this code Y432. Okay. Now you see. Now you are getting 80% off in this. 23,999 has reduced to 4,799. 80% off you are getting. Such a huge discount you are getting, and go for it, because what is the 4,799 for 6 months, isn't it? Once you clear CAIIB, in how many months will you recover all this? You'll recover this in hardly how many 3 to 4 months, isn't it? So go for it. Now I'll also show you the portion, because what is happening is many of us don't know the new portion which has come up. Okay, for CAIIB. This new portion includes 4 papers: ABM, BFM, ABFM and BRBL. ABM BFM was already there. ABFM, Advanced Business and Financial Management. This is a new paper. Also BRBL, Banking Regulations and Business Laws. This is also new paper. So that's why you will be definitely needing a guide. So that's why I am saying join the classes. Electives also. There is no retail elective. You had it earlier, retail. Now no retail elective. Rural, HR, IT, Central Banking and Risk. Negative marking is there. Subjective questions are there. Means you will have to answer some questions. You will have to solve the case studies. Okay.